India's still very far behind most economies in some respects and leap forwards in others. Stuff like UPI and Aadhaar, people don't understand how big a deal that was. It was a staggering leap forward by India. And India will do that. I think, people like Ambani is, some of the stuff that he's doing is extraordinary. I would say the next 10 years certainly belongs to India as a major economic power.
As specifically as a global investor in all this changing landscape, what role do you see India playing in the future on a more global stage? How optimistic are you?
So about 10 years ago, having known where the issues of the world lay, I got a map of the world out and said, okay, I'm going to take out every excess indebted country and everybody with an aging population. And I looked at the map of the world and it was like, that's fascinating. Sure, there's a bunch of African countries, but they were very early in their GDP growth. They will become more important, Nigeria, others. But really, it was the old monsoon trade winds across the Indian Ocean with India at the middle. And then I looked at it and it's like India at the middle of the world. And that's not because I'm Indian. Indians will always put themselves at the middle of the world, but it's not that. It's like, here's this super economy. It trades to the east and to the west. And it always has for literally 5,000 years. So you look at the Swahili coast of Africa all the way down, right? That's the monsoon trade winds that cause that, the spice route. You look at the trade with Indonesia, you look at the trade down to Singapore, and then up to Iran. And then the Silk Route that went all the way across to Morocco and into Europe. That is still in existence, obviously. So anyway, all of those countries exhibit the same demographics. They happen to be mainly Muslim countries because Islam seemed to be the kind of trade religion that spread fast around those coasts. Okay, great. So what we have is a world with this massive populous nation in the middle. There's a bunch of other really big populous nations, Indonesia, etc. We have all of the natural resources held within this region, particularly all the oil, all of the gas, all of that stuff. It's mainly self-sufficient in food. We have financial centers in Mumbai, Singapore, Cape Town, a bunch of others. So it's kind of got all the elements there. And the population is wildly different. The average age of an Indian is 28. And the average age in most of the other countries is like 48 or 30, well, call it 40. Right. So you have a wildly different population of young people across the entire region. And young people are motivated by economic improvement. They want to improve their lives. So that's why the US and Europe did so well after World War II. It's like it was full of young people, and now it's full of old people, and they have different things. So that's why India will continue with high growth rates. Also, so will the Middle East. So will most of these countries. The whole region also has its own Silicon Valley. I mean, one is Israel itself, and the other is within India as well. So we've got infinite people, infinite opportunities, young people, everything is there. The technology's held there, you have all the resources. That's where India fits. And geopolitically,
AGI, right? I just want to interrupt you here. Then comes AGI, let's say, our advanced AI that comes in, and a lot of the population advantages that we have pretty much become redundant, don't they?
I don't know because, India still has a appalling infrastructure. It's getting better, right? Every time I go, the roads are better, the stuff is better, but it's still bad, right? There's still no public sewerage system. There's still, the electricity system is still fragile. It's just not great. So it is still cheaper. I remember days of old in India that they didn't want to bring tractors to build roads because it was cheaper to employ people who would take baskets of gravel on their head. Right, that is changing, but it's not changed yet. It is still cheaper to pay farmers than have. I mean, yes, up in Punjab you will have large mechanized farms, obviously, but generally speaking, it's still cheaper. because there's an abundance of labor. In the other countries, there's lack of abundance of labor. So I'm not wildly worried yet. Yes, where do all the Indian kids coming out of university do? I don't know yet, but India's still very far behind most economies in some respects and leap forwards in others. And that's also a very interesting thing is when you can leap forwards in technology and ignore, whole messes that people have created, or economies have created for 30 years, stuff like UPI and Aadhaar, people don't understand how big a deal that was. And most countries haven't caught up. It was a staggering leap forward by India. And India will do that. I think people like Ambani is some of the stuff that he's doing is extraordinary. The mobile phone penetration in India is unlike any other country in the world. The cost of data on mobile phone network is unlike any other country in the world. So yes, I don't worry about the AGI bit yet. I really do think there was a golden age for India, where it will be the fastest major growing economy in the world for 10, 20 years. After that, we'll see, because India has a great propensity to screw everything up via politics and other stuff. So let's just assume that it will do that. But look, I would say the next 10 years certainly belongs to India as a major economic power, and probably 20 years. It's also been a secular trend. It's been one of the best performing stock markets in the world. It's, in fact, the only emerging market that really goes up. It's sucking in a lot of capital. A lot of Indians are coming home, the Indian diaspora.
Yep.
So yes, I remain.
We see it around us all the time. People are coming back.
Yeah, but there's real problems with ownership of property rights. We've got these terrible things. We have still inherent deep bureaucracy. It's so miserable to operate within. We still have, appalling infrastructure for some things. It's fine. We can now get trucks around the country because the roads are much better. But, open sewers and, just inexcusable things for a country like India, that somebody needs to solve. So there's a lot to get done. But don't forget, you fix the sewerage system in India, that's a massive investment in the economy. That money goes in the economic flywheel. It changes people's lives. They don't have to operate in the same, it's all coming. So yeah, it's good.
So they're saying, thoda hai, thode ki zarurat hai. So there's a long way to go, but the future, at least there's a possibility that future for India looks bright.
If you want to stay on top of the latest AI news and tools, make sure to subscribe me now and press the bell icon.